Kendo Podcast episode 164. In this episode, I want to talk about kōdansha and katana. Kendo Podcast by Hiroma Fuji from Kendo-Guide.com. Thank you for listening. This podcast is about Japanese martial arts Kendo for Kendo lovers and supported by Kendo enthusiasts through Patreon.com. Thank you for your support, guys. Please visit Kendo-Guide.com for more Kendo information and how to support Kendo-Guide.com. Welcome to Kendo Podcast episode 164. I had an interesting conversation with one of the Patreons the other day, and he told me about what happened at a tournament he participated. I don't want to tell the details, so I just want you to give you a rough idea. So, every shiai, we talk about the quality of shimpan, which is very, everyone trying to improve their shimpan level, but it's not easy to do. It's not easy thing to do. So, well, we all know that. And also, I want you to know that everyone, that when we fight, this is what I tell my students. When we fight, we have 3 shimpans, okay? And myself, if I'm in the tournament, myself and my opponent, right? Now, we have same shimpans. So this is equal, right? This is equal situation. Assuming these shimpans don't treat us unequally. They don't know us, say they don't know us, they're there to do shimpan equally, okay? Now, we have same shimpan. So the environment, the conditions are exactly the same. So you cannot complain that our shimpans are bad all the time, because when you lose, you tend to complain, right? So you gotta know, okay, we have the same shimpan, or the shimpan he wasn't looking properly, because, he missed my man, but they gave a point to him. But you have the same shimpan, but the shimpan didn't give you a point. That's the important thing we have to consider. Again, that's why I say, you have to think about shimpan as well when you do shiai. Now, which is, do you have to do it? You don't have to. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be needing to do that. But you really have to consider, these shimpans, they don't like do. So I shouldn't be striking do too much, So you really have to think about that, because we know the quality of shimpan is not that good. I'm talking about, many places, especially small regional shiai, right? Of course, there are a lot of good senseis out there, so I cannot, say all the shimpan is bad, but that happens. Okay, we have human as shimpan, right? So they make a mistake. So it's really up to us, how you. Where you do shiai, you have to do shiai in the middle. Even when you strike dekote at the edge of the court, they might not see ya, because it's hard to see. Again, shimpan has to place themselves so they can see what's going on. But, right, if you want to show your skills, you gotta be in the middle, in my opinion. But anyway, that's what I think we should consider, as well as just blaming shimpan all the time. And also that, there are many techniques in Kendo, not to get hit. I talked about 3 points defense, and good or bad. It's going to be personal opinion, but if I consider the principle of the katana, which is the concept of kendo, the concept of kendo is to discipline the human character through the application of the principles of the katana, right? So according to that, just 3 points block or 3 points defense, that is, that 1 point is just thinking about not to get hit, okay? And it's more like sports, not to lose, or sports. What can I say? So it's about, not to lose. And I understand that, because when you go to the tournaments, you don't want to lose. But you don't want to end Kendo there, because Kendo has the concept of, Kendo. If I think about that, so, striking men, in Shia, you have to decrease the possibilities of getting hit, right? And people really strive, make an effort to train hard, so they can increase their speed and everything, right? And they come up with how to strike men, for example. How can I strike men so I don't have to move my shinai too much? If you lift up your shinai, you will increase the possibility to get hit on kote. Understandable. That's very true, right? So people come up with many ways to strike men, right? They train hard to do so. And I want to consider that. Is that the principle of the katana or not? Then, right, it's very important to know what's the principle of the katana, right? We talk about shinai should be treated as katana. Bokuto is an imitation of katana, what we understand, right? But shinai is a lot longer than the sword and lighter than the sword, and it's not curved. It's a totally different weapon, and we don't move like iaido, right? So it's different physically, and we move differently from iaido. So we cannot really use the shinai like the katana, because the different weapon, we use it differently. So, of course, it's the principles of the katana. So, it's not exactly saying we gotta use the sword, the shinai, like the katana, because we can't, right? So, it's vague. And I remember I talked about this with someone too. It's vague. This katana part makes kendo very confusing, and I understand that perspective too. So, the way we strike, that's all. All sensei, a lot of sensei says the way we strike should be like we use the sword, which is go up and then cutting motion. I think they're talking about cutting motion. And then also they want us to use shinai like the sword, so we need to use shinogi as well. That's why we cannot slap targets with the side of the shinai, because it's not a blade. You cannot cut. So we have to follow these rules, because we consider shinai as katana, right? Again, we don't move like iaido. We go forward rather than going backwards. We say push to cut in kendo. In iaido or real katana, we basically you pull to cut, right? So we have differences, but we know we should use the shinai like the sword. And in the sword, we have to go up and down, right? Not sashi. That's why sashimen. People use sashimen, the term sashimen, as like for small men strikes. But in old days, I don't know now. I'm not too sure what people think about sashimen. But in old days, sashimen was a frowned upon. Sashimen was like you strike men, minimizing, like thrusting cut. So you don't go up and down. You don't move your sword up and down. So a lot of senseis said don't do that because it's not the katana. We don't use katana like that. Again, of course, we use katana in a lot of ways. So it depends on how you see kendo. So, it's like the more you do kendo, you realize this, conflict between kendo and, how to use, let's say the katana concept. And I really think it's a good idea for high grade holders, kōdansha, start learning iaido. And then we all know the concept of the katana. At least we can tell as a culture, as a cultural product. Kendo carries Japanese culture, so cultural where Kendo comes from is samurai swordsmanship. So we are carrying the culture and historical value as well. So to keep that, I think we should at least learn seitei iai. So All Japan Kendo Federation has 12 forms of iaido. So I think at least we should learn those kata, iaido, so we can kind of have the kendo and the iaido. Through iaido, we learn the concept of the katana, the principles of the katana. And kata with bokuto, we know we learn how to use the sword, right? As like the principle of the katana. So I think we can kind of integrate everything together and then inherit the kendo as culture, as cultural product to the next generation. And probably, I'm sure people have been talking about it. People as in All Japan Kendo Federation. But again, it's, I think Inoue Yoshihiko sensei, the past Inoue sensei, the late Inoue sensei, that he was the president of Shizuoka Kendo Federation, and I'm sure after his students passed Shodan or something, he started teaching those people iaido. I think that's what it was. But anyway, he was encouraging his students to do iaido because of the historical, reason, and also the concept of kendo clearly clearly says that it is through the principles of the katana. So that's understandable too. And I think when they should do, I'm not too sure, but at least if we, as an instructor, we probably should know how to use the katana. And we can relate kendo and the katana more. So people draw out their shinai, when the kamae to and draw out shinai, they know why they should, they draw out their shinai in a way they should, right? They are, right? So I think it's very helpful, and, we can protect the values of kendo. I don't know what you think, but please share what you think, and I want to hear. Maybe I'm gonna do the poll, and so you can tell me your opinion. Okay, thank you for listening, and I want to let you know that I started a new course, Kendo-Guide for complete beginners at patreon.com/Kendo for life. So if you're interested, come and check out. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next podcast. I would like to send special thanks to patrons for their constant support through patreons.com/Kendo for life.